Let's try that again. So this is actually my first time that I am a full-time pastor, that pastoring is what I do. So this is my first church is doing that, and I've been here, I'm in my 9th year here. So I'm finally starting to hopefully get the hang of what slightly smaller town ministry looks like. Because again, where I come from, a small town is like 40,000 people. And so, because a whole different kind of context for that. But by way of what we are, who we are as Woodlane Community Church, we weren't always Woodlane Community Church. We used to be Arcadia Reformed Church, which I believe the name probably changed before your time. But I'll get into kind of how that worked out in a little bit. But this is, we've been around, we've been a church for probably about 130 years now. And this is our 3rd building, so this isn't a 130-year-old building. But we are part of the oldest denomination in the United States, 500 years old. It's part of the Reformed Church in America. That's our official denomination. Our closest people as far as beliefs would be the Presbyterian Church in town, Park Presbyterian. The major difference between us and them is they come from Scotland and we come from Holland. So sometimes differences of traditions and differences of denominations, all that will simply be where they came from as immigrants came over into the United States. And so today, I'm going to give you guys kind of a virtual tour of our church, mixed in with some of our beliefs, simply because trying to move you guys around the church and around the building would take half our time. And I don't want to waste your time on that. So I'm going to kind of mix in some of our beliefs as Christians, some of our history, both as Christians and as a church, and some of just our norms, how we do things, which may be different than what another church might be. It might be different than what Park does or St. Michael's does. And we'll have some time that you can ask me some questions at the end. So I'm going to start off our tour with the room you guys came in at, our narthex, which is basically it's a fancy word for our entryway. If you were to come in on a Sunday morning, for most people, that'd be the first view that you guys would have. Coming in as you did, and by the time you hit the carpet, 2-3 feet in, you'd already have a bulletin in your hands, as you guys do now. So thank you for grabbing those. We have usually one of our greeters that will be right there, welcoming you, trying to help you feel at home. That was a lot of why we ended up changing our name to Woodlane Community Church, because we wanted to amplify kind of that idea of being a part of the community. Not just being this collection of people who are one specific demographic or one specific, people coming from a certain country and all that. We wanted to be a part of the community. And so part of that is trying to make people feel at home, whatever their day has been like, whatever their week has been like. And so unfortunately, you guys didn't get to see it in all its glory, but that table that is now bare, because it's midweek, is usually, if you were to come in on a Sunday, covered in every kind of caloric yumminess you can think of. From cookies to breads to cakes. You never know quite what you're going to get, but you always know it's going to be good, and you always know there's going to be a lot of coffee. Because we figure coffee and donuts can make just about anybody feel at home. Again, no matter what their week has been like. So part that you're not going to get to see is our lounge, where we have, this is upstairs, and we kind of like it because though it may be a bit dated, though it may be a bit piecemeal as far as how it's put together, it at least is not as clinical as a doctor's office. And so we'll have a lot of our meetings there, and a lot of our small groups actually will meet there, either midweek or after worship on Sunday. And our biggest use would be our Sunday school class. This is where our adults would get together. Now, as Christians, we believe our goal is to become more and more, as we grow in our faith, to become more and more like Jesus Christ. He's sort of the head image, if you will, or the head, we call him the head of the church. Though I'm the pastor, though I'm the leader here, Jesus Christ would be the head of the church universal, or the church worldwide, however you want to think of it. And so, among other things, there's many different ways I could describe our beliefs about Jesus, but he is kind of our model of how we desire to live, and we try to grow more and more into that as we as we develop in our faith, or as we mature in our faith. And so part of that process involves learning. Because a person doesn't just become a Christian and instantly you know everything about it. You know, all the beliefs and how to live and what to do in certain situations and all that. That's something that you learn. It's like, anybody yet had a science class in high school? I know you guys are in your freshman year now. Anybody had biology in particular? Okay, at least a couple people. Now, question. When you had your first biology class, did you know exactly how to use everything about a microscope? No? Okay, good, I chose the right person for that. But you would learn. Your teacher would show you how to do things and teach you and model how to use a microscope. Well, the same kind of thing happens in our Christian faith. We have people who have been around for a while who are a little more mature, who will teach those who are younger, or we're all still trying to grow again into that image, or that follow that model of Jesus Christ. So our kids will end up doing the same kind of thing, but they'll do it downstairs in our basement, which is a little more open area. I don't actually have a picture of it here, but they'll leave about halfway through our worship service. In your bulletin, you'll see I have the children's message or kids' message, where I'll have something within the context of worship that I'm trying to offer to them. And I'll usually have kids younger than you guys, from about 4 until maybe about 10 or 11 years old. And I'll offer them something, and then they'll go downstairs and they'll have their own version of a worship service. They'll probably a lot more music. They'll do a lot more studying through Bible stories and learning about the Christian faith through the Christian calendar. Because the calendar has a lot to do with how we do things and how our seasons flow. I'm guessing whether you are familiar with the Christian faith or not, you could probably name the holiday that comes up on December 25th. Anybody know what it is? Say it like you're trying to wake up the dead over in your school. 1, 2, 3.
Christmas!
All right, that's a little bit better. Thank you. Christmas. The nice thing about Christmas, as opposed to many of the other parts of the Christian calendar, is it always falls on the same day, so you can always plan on it. Thank goodness for that. And so we are actually getting ready, because within the Christian faith, there's a season that builds up to that. We call it Advent. It's usually about 4 weeks before Christmas happens. And so, as we get into that, it's going to start up in a week and a half. Our kids will start learning the things that happen within that season, getting ready for Christmas. So it builds up and anticipates Christmas. And then our Christmas season starts once Christmas Day hits. And so, our adult way of learning is a lot more freeform. We'll get people who they've been around the block quite a few times as Christians. And so, but you never know quite what you're going to get, depending on who is teaching. But the neat thing about it is you always know you're going to get something. And that's similar to how we experience how God works, which we'll get into in a little bit. On the room, I really, really want you guys to pay attention to, because it'll do you some good to keep this one in mind. Our fellowship hall. Now I say get used to this room, because as you get through further and further in high school, as you get onto your PSATs and your AP exams, this is the room where they're probably going to take place. Unfortunately, I can't guarantee that it's going to have a Thanksgiving feast while you are taking your tests, but we usually do have some form of snack for you guys while you're on your break and everything like that. But anytime we try and get the entire church together, this is usually where it's happening. This happens to be from this week. We decided we were going to have Thanksgiving dinner for lunch. And so we had 3 tables of everything you can imagine for Thanksgiving, and then a whole other table of cookies and cakes and desserts and everything like that. So when we left church on Sunday morning, we did not have to eat I think I don't have to eat until now anyway, because I'm still stuffed from that day. But this is where we call it our fellowship hall, which is basically our big word for our hangout place. This is where we will gather, get together, hang out, just be a part of community, which is incredibly important as Christians. As I said, we chose to change our name to Woodlane Community Church for that very reason, because community was a big part of who we are. And it's important to Christian churches because we believe that God is a communal being. That God is a God who doesn't just exist all by himself. So we believe, and this is one of probably the deepest topics in Christianity, and so I'm not going to dive into it too far because we could spend a lifetime talking about it. But we believe that God exists as one God in three persons. So you'll hear me talk about God the Father, who we just sort of collectively call God. God the Son, Jesus Christ, who is a historical figure that we have, historical evidence of who existed with us. And God the Holy Spirit, or sometimes you hear God the Holy Ghost. As I said, this is one of the deepest topics of Christianity, and the smartest minds in history have not fully been able to wrap their minds around it, so I'm not going to try and dive into that very much. But we also believe that this communal God created us in his image, created everybody in his image. And so we believe that there are certain characteristics or certain traits of God that we possess as well. And there's obviously some that we don't. We can't bring somebody back to life the way we believe God can. But, as one example, but we believe that we are not created to live life alone. That we're created to have community. That we're created to live life together. And so, the communal aspect is one of those similarities that we believe we have with God. And we see that in our vertical relationship. We consider it a relationship that a Christian will have with God. That's vertical part. But also horizontal. That our Christian faith influences how we interact with each other, how we help each other out, how we look out for each other. And spending time together in fellowship, whether it's up in the fellowship hall or out in the narthex after worship or before worship, kind of helps to remind us of that nature, that we're not meant to do this alone. Even just trying to go through high school would be difficult, trying to do it without friends to help you out, without teammates to help you out. So our tour is going to draw to the place where, I throw a picture up, but you're basically sitting in it right